think the stories of our failures are always very illustrative and gives us a lot of learning material. I had this failure of a communication in one Arab country with two of my partners. One of them was coming from Europe, another was local Arab, and we were discussing an event where we wanted to invite a speaker to deliver some information, and our Arab partner was very willing to bring on a relative on board who was competent enough according to their words, and we were considering this person as a speaker. But suddenly there was another person who was on our radar and looked like a bit more matching the expectations for the speaker's position. We started discussing another candidacy. Well, my very honest and very transparent approach that my European partner would appreciate was that I clearly explained the reasons why we would prioritize another speaker rather than our Arab partner's relative. And we definitely see the reasons behind that. That is why, if that's possible, we would kindly like to ask if they could please stay on hold for a while until we maybe confirm or maybe don't confirm our second option speaker. And that was a disaster. That was a real disaster because the Arab partner felt extremely offended. They felt like they were betrayed. They felt like we were not even considerate enough to think of a nicer way to put the reason to not make them feel offended and not make them convey this idea to their relatives. So what they've done for us was definitely a good gesture, offering somebody they know, introducing them to us. But what we were basing our opinion on was a very transparent style of communication, one thing. Second is a very clear setting of expectations within the timeline so that the other person would be aware of that situation. And also the so-called merit-based approach, which means that when we are considering two options, what we're seeing behind those options are not just relationships or connections. What we're seeing is their actual speaking capacity or their expertise. And that was the priority for the project. But that was definitely not at that moment the way our Arab partner wanted us to communicate this. So we could definitely prioritize a second speaker, but the way we could communicate that would have been different.